We've got a whole new thing going on. It's Connect This. I'm Christopher Mitchell with the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, and we're trying something new. We'll see how it goes, but we're trying a new system. We're on Riverside. We're still going to be taking panels. I see we've got Ruben already throwing in a panel or throwing in a comment, so that's a good start. I do want to say that I took a vacation last week and I was truly unplugged. Usually I'm still doing stuff, sending emails, and I did not trend on Twitter that I was dead. So I'm disappointed. You all could have done that. I don't know if you've been tracking that news or not, but it's a good reference. Welcome, Kim McKinley. How are you doing?
I am great. I am great. And I even got all this new technical stuff to work, but thank you for having me here today, Christopher Mitchell. And we are excited to talk about what did Ruben say? Internet things. Let's talk about some internet things today.
Yes, let's. You know, Kim, I was just reminded of how famous you are because we this week actually we viewed the Rocketeers film, which is basically a bunch of people talking about the good work they're doing, and then Kim talking about her life in weird ways. I feel like you're like the comic relief in the movie.
This was in my former life of working at Utopia Fiber, and I just, when I watched it recently to see it, like the film again, I realized that I put a lot of Botox in my face since that film was created too.
Well, it was great to see. People should check it out. But we did the Rocketeers film, and then we had a panel with Roger and some other folks. Gigi Sean was on it. So really fun panel updating people as to what's going on. So you can check that out. We got Doug Dawson from CCG Consulting. Welcome.
Hey, Chris, it's good to be on this new platform. Everyone looks fuzzy to me, so that's either the platform or Charter. We'll find out. So
you look good right now. I mean, I'll tell you, like, this is like this moment. This is the best connection I've seen out of Charter. Like, you're looking hot.
Wow, there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with the connection in that case.
Bank error in your favor.
Yes.
We've also got Travis Carter. Travis, I got to say that of the four of us, I did not pick you to be the one that would retire the first. So formerly of USI Fiber, welcome. Oh, you're muted. Figure it out, bud.
You're muted.
Still muted.
He's just talking and talking.
Well, when you get retired, you don't know how to use the mute button.
You do forget how to use stuff. Once you're out of technology, you lose it all. Yeah.
It doesn't say mute. So
we got you now, though.
Is it working now? It didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Apparently, they have an issue with the UI updating the. I was just going to commend everyone on their fashion sense today. Impeccable, everybody. The black T-shirts and.
Oh yes.
Yes.
It was a celebration of you and retirement is what we were celebrating today.
Agreed.
Yes, that is it. I'm on day 3 of being officially retired.
And you went to bed early last night.
Yes. And I had some nerd from St. Paul texting me wanting to talk broadband. I'm like, yeah.
I wanted to see how far I could push you today, and we are going to talk about the merger, but I also wanted to make sure I wasn't creating any problems for you because I only like to do that in my personal time, not my professional time. We're gonna come to that. I did want to have a couple other announcements. We got a peekaboo, and then we're going to talk about Starlink very briefly. There's some bet updates. We're going to talk about BEAD, I think, substantially. We're going to spend some time on the USI merger, but more like the USI buyout by T-Mobile, but also kind of the trends that we see among small ISPs. If we have time, we're going to talk a little bit about AT&T and Echostar, and also how there's not really a thing called rule of law in the United States. Also, the Google settlement kind of plays into that. I just feel like the courts are There's like a big joke as to whether or not we actually follow laws. I'll explain more when we get there. Big copyright war on ISPs. Hopefully we'll get there too. So that's the table for today.
Well,
We're also playing around with the new
whoa,
system.
whoa. We're talking bets. Okay, I'm excited. I don't know what bet we're talking about, but I'm excited to see if I lost again.
There's two bets I think that are more or less settled here that we can talk about. So, but first of all, I also wanted to say, Kim, I didn't mention you were at TAC Broadband, but I met someone from TAC Broadband at our last Tribal Broadband Bootcamp. Patrick was there. He's an outside plant guy and did some cool demonstrations. I said, have you run into Kim? And he said, no, never heard of her. So I'm kind of starting to question, I don't know whether or not you really work there or not.
Probably don't. They just let me use their name so I can be on this famous podcast. So let's keep going.
What's the peekaboo? We have a peekaboo. Let's see what that looks like. I don't think any of us even have a sense of how much of the screen this is going to take up. But I think Rye, and I should say also Rye and Jordan are working behind the scenes to keep this boat afloat. And I want to thank them, but also hope that we get a video or a thing here. And I think this is courtesy of the listeners.
Oh my goodness!
4x4 posts.
Yes, they are. They could be 6x6s, but yes. So that's obviously a pole that got snapped off by a truck hitting it really hard, and that's the temporary fix until they get a new pole there. So it was flapping around, pulling the wires to the ground. So yeah, that pole got hit hard. Yeah.
Do you think those are those anchored into the ground, or is that just gravity? Like, they just have it setting?
That looks like fresh concrete underneath it. So I'd say at least one of them is. Yeah.
Okay.
So, where is this located at?
Also, we don't know, but also for people who are, this is, Juan actually was there when we did a test of this system, and some of us just started posting as Reggie, who is our communications director. Reggie has posted here, but I don't think Reggie's actually involved. I think this system just starts assigning people the name Reggie over time. So if you're confused about who's posting, one of the fun bugs we're going to work out. All right. So that's the peekaboo. Any other comments on that, Travis? Just being thrilled that,
I actually think
above ground.
I think it's actually pretty creative, considering, the weight that was on the pole and the logistics, because, sinking a pole is not as easy as people think. I mean, you got to call in locates, you got to do everything. So I'm actually fairly impressed with somebody was thinking.
Yeah, the steel strand is really strong. I've heard from someone that you could take out like 3 poles in a row and the steel strand would hold it up still, that the fiber's wrapped around. So, you've got
that's more of a power issue though than the.
Yeah, it's the electric wires they're worried about. Yeah. So.
Yeah, remember, nobody cares about the communications lines. It's all about power.
Right, but it's the steel strand for the fiber. I think that's the strongest thing, because they don't have steel strand in the electric space, of course.
So those will be draping terribly, and it's the multi phases. So if they hit each other, it's a big problem. So this whoever did that, kudos for being creative.
But what's their long-term strategy on this?
Oh, I'm sure that's very temporary.
Oh,
they're going to come within a week or two and put a new pole in. Yeah. So.
All right, so the first of the bet conversation, Starship appears to have completed all of its mission goals, and also it just so happens that I believe one of the Falcon 9 pieces has been reused 500 times now, one of the boosters maybe, and so I've been a big doubter. I'm still a big doubter. I think this is a remarkable accomplishment that still has a lot of accomplishments left to achieve some audacious goals, and it's coming from a person who is delivering full autonomous driving in 2018. So I still have my doubts, but I will say that they beat my timeline. I didn't think they would have a Starship success until the end of the year at the earliest, and they've had some success with a payload that is like 12% of what it should actually have when it finally launches. So we'll see.
Well, now for the bet, does it only count when they try 100% load?
Possibly, but I'm willing to just say that so Travis lost because they didn't do it within a month, I think was his bet. And then my bet was it would take more than 6 months. So I think we're just losers on this one. We're both losers.
But I think we can be winners, because I think what we should do in 2026 is we should all go down to Texas or wherever they're launching these things from and go see one go up. Because the part that I miss is the pure scale and size of this thing.
So not just a Falcon 9 launch. You want to see ship launch.
Yeah, we should go see Starship launch. If you guys are in.
I mean, I would love to see that.
It's way bigger than the Atlas, and that's been the biggest rocket to now.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like
I'm struggling. I'd like to see it in person. Just the pure size of this thing. But I was pretty impressed, and I watched it, and don't think I wasn't thinking the whole time, please land so I can tease Mitchell. So isn't that sad how my mind thinks? Yeah.
Yeah, they still have significant issues, but we'll see.
Engineering marvel, though. You got to be honest. Engineering marvel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but they're among the engineering questions, have to do with just the amount of inertia they're going to have trying to get this thing back to break it through the atmosphere and then to do a safe landing. And then not only that, I mean, the Falcon 9, I think, is barely qualifies for human cruise because they still don't have a success. I think there's like a 97% rate or something like that, but you need to improve that. I don't know. I think this is outside my area of knowledge, but
what was the most fascinating point to you? There was one thing in the whole thing that I thought was just absolutely amazing. Oh, sorry.
No idea.
They had a buoy in the Indian Ocean, and they landed within 100 yards of it. I mean, that's some major college-educated math there, because I wouldn't have been able to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the kind of people that didn't need the college. They were just doing that when they were 10. But the other piece of it, I just wanted to make sure was, in order to maintain the constellation, the expectation is, I believe, 2 launches per week in future years of Starship, every week, just to maintain the constellation. That's the scale. And I have, even if they get all the engineering to work, I doubt whether or not the environment can absorb that kind of launch pace. I mean, that doesn't include all the other launches that would be happening. So I continue to have my doubts about the viability of this approach.
And one of the problems with it is that they have to stop commercial flights in a big area every time they do it. And if you have to do that twice a month, that's going to become a real issue with the airlines. It's going to be an interesting challenge. So
I do think, I mean, I don't know how it works with other rocket launches, other rocket launches. Presumably, I think they do that because they don't want anything to be hit by a piece that's blowing up. But as it becomes more routinized, I would think they could shrink the containment area.
I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Travis, some news. And then you were too busy in the last show. You didn't duck us. You were just overwhelmed with preparing for this the sale of USI, your baby. And so I think there's a lot of people who are curious what's going on and how come you decided to sell USI.
Well, it's probably a tale as old as time, but as you age, we're not all as young as Kim, but
it happens. It happens, Travis.
Yeah.
It happens.
But keep going. Years ago, I had a buddy of mine who was in his early 50s that passed away, and I started to really think, boy, do I want to sit here at this keyboard for the rest of my life? I've already been here since I was about 10 years old. I was about 125, 150 pounds overweight, so I'm like, I got to do some life changes. And, the reality, I think Gigi Sohn said it on the last episode, the financial reality of running a small internet provider, especially in today's interest rates, creates a whole lot of challenges. So, my partner and I, we decided to go out and, we just tipped our toe in the water, and we were very, very lucky to the group that we ultimately chose, which is Metronet is the operator. T-Mobile's the retail component of it. Really fortunate to run into these folks. What a good operator, what a good group of people. They would take our customers, they would take our employees, and hopefully continue on, with the great foundation that we laid. That's the mission. And honestly, I don't see any reason why it won't pan out that way.
Yeah, for people who aren't familiar, Metronet already operates in the suburbs around here in a number of places. They purchased Jaguar Communications a while back. They're in Rochester, Minnesota. They're making a significant investment. I mean, I have mixed feelings. We've talked about that a little bit in the past. Before we go to that, though, Travis, I do want to ask, if the interest rates remained low, do you think you would have still felt that same pressure with just you're getting older and that sort of thing? Or was
it might have been a different scenario, but the reality is, and I haven't spoken much about this, but in the early years of the ISP world, or at least from my perspective, and again, this is just all me as an individual, this isn't anything I've heard from anyone, is if you didn't have linear cable television, you were really at a significant disadvantage to like the Comcasts and, remember Lumen
Yeah, they called
started
it the
out.
triple play. It was a big deal to have the triple play.
Yep. It was a big deal to have the triple play, and then that eroded over times, and now where we're seeing a lot of pressure is fiber/cellular phones, and we talk a lot about small businesses and supporting local and doing all that, but I hate to give this guy credit, but he made a very astute statement last night when I was talking to him. Is there's a reason Walmart is the biggest because they're the cheapest, and I had thousands of people that wouldn't switch to us because we were $5 more a month. And now if you give a cell phone service, I just saw there was potential for some pretty serious, erosion. Not so much from the cell phone in a box internet, guys. It's really just if you can bundle your internet and your cell phone. So I don't know. The future to me is it's going to be the big guys that have spectrum, have wireless networks, and have fiber networks are going to be that's really going to be the evolution of, I think, our next generation of this service.
I have a question for you, Travis. Did you I know that MetroNet and T-Mobile and all of that have a huge presence up in that area, and they are really locking down that area of the country, it seems like right now. Did you have a lot of other offers that came to the table when you were looking to possibly get USI acquired?
Oh, yeah, there were. Yeah, we did something called a road show. This is where you go meet everybody. And there was no shortage of buyers, but there was very few, I guess, partners, I would call them. And I'm really fortunate that we landed where we landed. I'm really happy that MetroNet and the team was able to take over. And I just went through their HR onboarding yesterday. I mean, these guys know what they're doing.
Travis, can I assume that it was they all found out about you through Connect This, and that we should take credit for the popularity you had on the circuit?
Well, actually, where it all started was the broadband show in Florida. Kim, what was that thing called? Metro Connect?
MetroNet. Or not MetroNet, Metro Connect, right? Yeah.
Envision a room full of college-educated men and one attractive blonde girl on the other end, and I'm on the other side, and she goes, "Travis!" And and all these guys are going, "Who is this player?" Mm-hmm.
This is why I need a commission on this sale then. I haven't seen any money from this sale.
And then to follow that up, when I'm in these meetings and I go, I can call Doug Dawson right now and he'll answer. This is just credit that this is invaluable. So no.
And nobody cares about you, Christopher Mitchell. Nobody.
He did not mention you, Chris. No.
Kim, remind me how you met Travis.
I have no idea. Through a dating site.
And when I was at the Peace Camp, I mentioned Mitchell, and they were all impressed, right? So no. It's good. It's a little surreal, I think, maybe for the lack is I don't actually have a day job now anymore. So, but I've been busier than ever the last 3 days, including this.
You do still have responsibilities, right? And Doug, I'll come to you next to see if you have a question. But Travis, I think you didn't sell everything, right? You sold the Minneapolis stuff, but you have other stuff, right?
Yeah, we're gonna keep our Wisconsin operation. We have a network over in Oshkosh area in Wisconsin that we're building out, and so Kurt and I, my business partner, we're gonna keep that with our Dan and Joe, who are gonna run it for us. And then there was some really nice. In that latest tax bill that the government passed, there was some real nice incentives for kind of opportunity zones in rural areas that we were able to take advantage of. So kudos to the current administration for some solid legislation. Mr. Mitchell.
Go ahead, Doug.
Oh, no, did you get any kind of non-compete? Are you allowed to get back in major areas or?
No, I'm a non-compete, and I'm going to be, to help with the transition. I'm going to be around to help for a year to make sure everything goes smooth, kind of as needed. So, no, all in all, I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't be more impressed with the MetroNet guys. I didn't have much interaction with anybody else, but the MetroNet team is really set. they're the AA player in our industry. I didn't know much about them before this, but I met a lot of the other players, and there is absolutely a reason why they are where they're at.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and dig into doubting that. I also feel like I'll just note that Reddit was full of people who were disappointed. I think this is a loss for Minneapolis, but I think this is something we've talked about since the beginning of this show. And that's, to some extent, my analysis, which I feel like we're largely in agreement with, although I'm sure that you each have disagreements with pieces of it, which is that we cannot expect people like Travis to create competition across the country indefinitely. These things, the deck is stacked against small ISPs from the way the laws are structured to natural economics. And so, in my mind, it is disappointing when we lose the independence of a network like this to a larger operator. And I think Metronet is quite good from what I've seen in a variety of places. If you ask me in 10 years, I do not expect them to be that good. I think that there will be some atrophy, and I don't need Travis to answer for that, but that's just my observation of the way things go with these cycles, which, we've been dealing with for more than 100 years of this economy.
Way to be positive, Chris. Starting off hot, starting off with your positive nature that you have. But go on, Doug. Go on.
No, Metronet will get larger, and as they get larger, they will get more corporate, and it's inevitable. So if they quadruple and get 10 times larger, which they're on the path to do, they won't. They've also had a small ISP, almost a Travis flavor. I mean, they've sort of been very similar to him, but they're getting way big real fast. So it's really hard to keep. It's hard to keep that. So yeah.
So, how long have you been working on this for, Travis?
Well, hold on, that's a good question, Kim. Yeah. Let Travis respond to me if he wants to first.
No, I think this is, as I've gone through this whole cycle, here's what I would say. The key thing, though, and this is where we've talked about this a lot, good networks will continue to perform.
Right.
The networks that are slapped in, those are going to be the ones we're going to have problems with. So this is the thing about, I feel confident about the network we built in Minneapolis is technically very sound, and they're not going to come in and change much of anything. They're just going to keep operating it. And so what I would be more worried about, and I would agree with you, Chris, is these networks that get slammed in by the cheapest bidder in these rural areas that maybe they're only underground a foot. Those are going to be the ones I think are going to have a problem long term.
I think that's right. Now, I do want to address this question quick, since it just popped up. Which is the idea that, if I understand Takey McTaker correctly, I think the idea is that, Travis, you probably could have had some benefit from just getting an MVNO deal. But I'll say that, I think Verizon's squeezing the MVNOs. We're having real problems here in St. Paul. I've been talking about this. I think the MVNO experience is about to decline precipitously, or at least, over some period, it will continue to decline, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how precipitously. So, Travis, I don't know if you evaluated that, but I presume that that's a part of the issue that you would.
Yeah, and when you're small, the problem is you can't be competitive. The real thing is, if you're Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, if you bundle your wireless product with a fiber product, I hate to tell these operators, they're going to crush it. They just naturally.
It's the difference between getting the best experience and getting what's left over. And I love saving money, but I do recognize it every day.
Yeah, and people. I mean, I dealt with it every day. We were $5 more than CenturyLink, and there was a whole group of people that wouldn't switch, no matter how much they felt about local companies. They just wouldn't do it.
All right, Kim asked you about when this all started.
So we started a couple of years back, just having conversations, and it was really fascinating. Just all the steps you have to iterate through that I knew nothing about. So it took longer than normal, probably because of my naivety and my insistence on picking the right partner. But I'd say, a little under 2 years from start to finish.
Yeah. That's a long time. And then I don't know, Doug, do you have any other questions? I do have one final one, but you can go first.
No, I think very interesting stuff. I'd like to talk to you offline about a few questions about valuations, but we won't need to do that on air. So
I did ask that. And I don't know that. I'm not expecting Travis to tell us any numbers, but I was curious if it was based on the number of subscribers he had, and you said you didn't think so, Travis.
No, the industry right now, and I don't think this is necessarily only the group that I'm working with now, but the industry as a whole, it's all about passings right now. They're kind of in that phase of the evolution, as it's a big land grab. And these large companies are very good marketing engines. So I think they feel if they've got the passings, they're going to be able to, to pick up market share pretty quickly.
Travis, is there a map somewhere with my house still circled on it?
That's actually a part of the contract, was the exclusion zone that I laid out specifically for my difficult friends. So no, there's a big push into St. Paul. Here's the thing, though. These guys are very well capitalized. They're very good operators. They're a very good construction company. I would envision that the growth trajectory for the USI footprint, they're going to see over the next few years quite a lot of areas get covered, pretty quickly.
Doug, do you want to answer that question? Is T-Mobile buying a lot of ISPs, or Kim?
Oh my heavens, they're buying everybody they can get their hands on. Yeah. So. Yeah.
But I guess my question to T-Mobile and what they're doing, because you're an Active E network, or were like your previous life was an Active E network, and they're buying all kinds of things. Are they buying the exact same kind of networks, or are they putting like all of these different networks together? And do we think that there's going to be any issues with them doing it this way long term for T-Mobile?
No, they're buying passings, I think is what I would say. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not that well versed in the corporate strategy, but what I think they're doing right is they're rolling all these ISPs up into their system, so it isn't going to be like a bunch of silos. It'll be a universal platform. And so, then I think they're doing all. I think these are. I mean, talk about talented individuals. These are some pretty talented people that are on this thing. And then I've learned a ton of corporate terms too that I never knew before. So.
So Travis, one of the things that I also wanted to share, or have you react to, is a little bit. I do feel like people don't appreciate when you start a business like you have. You don't have a deal with the bank where you're sort of like, well, I tried and it didn't go well, so see you later. Like, I have an LLC and it shields me to some extent. But I think people have an expectation that when you have a business, you can fully separate off yourself and your retirement from the business, and you had a significant amount of debt that I think you were responsible for, right? And so that's something that you don't forget about.
It was interesting when I woke up Wednesday morning and I didn't owe the bank any money. What a relief, because this is when I look at like the difference between the ISPs that like move up to different tiers. It's how much are they willing to put their neck out on the line personally. And, honestly, if the business failed, there's no way I could have ever paid it back. I mean, my working at McDonald's, I'd be doing that till I'm, 5,000 years old. But still that personal liability, plus, not only the bank, but, the couple hundred families you're responsible for, putting paychecks in their bank every 2 weeks, the health insurance, the 401k, it's a lot to carry. It's a lot of burden to carry. And I'll tell you what, it's been a significant weight lifted off my shoulders.
How do your employees feel about all of this? Like, speaking of employees,
well, that's kind of funny. So they started out pretty distraught, and but as they've met all the MetroNet folks, I told them, hold on, you got to mourn me for at least a day or two after I leave, because they were all excited, about the opportunity, because there's a lot of opportunity for them at the company. It's not just little USI here. They've got operations everywhere. They've got different silos of expertise. They've got training programs. I mean, it's a class operation.
Well, I guess the last thing I did, this was tied into my head into the debt a little bit, but could you give us just a sense of how fast you were able to expand before the interest rates went up, and then what you were looking at after the interest rates were high? Let's just assume for a second that nobody wanted to buy you. How had that changed?
So if interest rates had stayed where they are, we would probably be 50% larger than we are today. Yeah. That was a significant, because it didn't come on slowly. I mean, it just came on like a freight train. And people would say, well, you should have been in term loans, you should have been this, but the way we did with our facility and with the structure we had with all the banks, this was the best way for us to do it. With the interest rates are just something that came out of left field. Yeah. And there wasn't anything we could do about it.
No, MetroNet and T-Mobile are largely financing with equity, so they don't care about interest rates to some degree. So, yeah.
Yeah. And there's all these asset-backed securitization programs that are out there.
Yeah.
See, this is where, like, if you're a city and you can get bond financing, that's almost like cheating, compared to what the rest of us get in. And that's what these asset-backed securitization pieces are. It's almost bond financing dollars. And it's really good way to grow these networks.
This has been the long play for me to just say, Travis, are you going to thank Obama for holding those interest rates so low for so long to allow you to build your company up during those key times?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. That's exactly what I keep thinking.
So we're going to move on to BEAD. And a couple of things just I thought that would be useful. So we're going to talk about what we're seeing a little bit and then riff on that, I'm sure. But I thought it'd be useful to know where we are. Yesterday was September 4th. That kicked off a 90-day period of review and curing, in which, we've all seen press releases from the states. We've talked about numbers coming in from how the states plan to award their funds. Well, now NTIA is going to have their say more so. So, as I understand it, NTIA has already been kind of reviewing these and kind of giving the states the okay, but they have not given the final okay. And so the awards that we've seen were all preliminary. And over the next 90 days is when we'll be seeing that. Most states have their awards in, but it's not like most states. It's a slim majority from what I can tell, like 30, 35. There's still a bunch of states that have extensions. So like Texas, California, a few other states all won't have their numbers in till the end, till different dates throughout the month. And we're talking about 4.2 million locations right now that are eligible, of BEAD eligible locations across the United States, I believe. So that's about the scale of it. I don't know if there's anything else you think is helpful for tone setting, Doug, Kim, or Travis.
Well, there's 32 who have announced their awards as of yesterday, and that's out of 56 total, including the territories. There's 6 who got a delay, so there's still 18 who are late. I guess they didn't have an official delay, but they didn't make the date. So I have to assume that they're all trying to get it in soon. So
it's possibly just an announcement, though, right?
It is possible, but it's really not, because they have to go out for public comments. It's really not possible because they have to go out for public comments, and in those comments you have to tell the public who your preliminary awards are. So I think they're just late. Because they didn't ask for a delay, they're probably not a lot late. It's probably within the next week, but 2 of the delays they granted were only till next week. It's just kind of surprising. So,
well, for how much time was available, that's an extension of like 10%.
yeah. No, well, it includes the 2 biggest, California and Texas. So there's some pretty big piles of stuff that haven't been announced yet. So Missouri's the other. Those are the 3 largest dollar ones, and they're still late. Yeah.
So we're looking at some of the numbers, and I feel like fiber's getting about 2/3 is what we're seeing so far. Now, Rye reminded me that so that's of the areas that have come in. The states that haven't come in are largely in the West, and we expect those to be lower fiber, right? Colorado was like 40%. Yeah. Kim's nodding here.
But like you're seeing that Kansas came in with not a lot of fixed wireless in their bids. And I think that's an interesting one, because if any state in the West or Central can claim that those other technologies would work, it would be Kansas. So I see all these things still saying preliminary fiber, but I think it's a game that NTIA really is going to be interesting to see what they actually approve. Because I'm hearing they're naysaying some of what they're seeing out of Virginia and Louisiana of some of their bids. So I think it's really going to be interesting of what Lutnick does and where he pulls power card.
Yeah, I feel like, I want to take a step back from this and just reassess where we were several years ago. Like I remember I was on the Hoopa Valley reservation when I feel like some of this news was breaking as to how the program would be structured. And I remember we did one of our shows from there. And I remember feeling like expecting more disasters and blowups. And when Lutnick announced the changes that they were going to delay the BEAD program in order to punish states that had come in like on budget or under budget and force them to spend less money on inferior technologies for no reason aside from trying to just cut money out of this program. that I expected the states to fight back some, and they've done that. I think the states have really used all of the tools at their disposal to advocate for their residents to try to have the best technologies possible. And so, Doug, I don't know if you've been thinking about that at all, but I feel like the state offices have come into their own in some ways.
I think that most of the states got together. I personally believe they got together and said, let's ask for as much fiber as possible. And that way, if the NTIA wants to say no, they can say no, but we're not going to self-modify it ourselves. So
yeah, but do you think but what I'm seeing is a lot of these ISPs are coming out and announcing a victory, and I'm just watching.
Yeah, it's way too early to do that.
Yeah,
it's way too. There's not one of these awards that's final. I mean,
right.
So absolutely not.
I mean, we've had Blair Levin on before. His analysis, I think, is interesting because Lutnick wants to get the money out this year in order to minimize the unnecessary delays that he's put on these investments. And at the same time, if he wants to fight on a state-by-state basis to force them to lower the amount they're putting into fiber, then that's going to delay everything. So he has to make a choice on what he values more. And I think the states have done a good job of putting him in a box.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a blog and I called it a showdown. And I wish I could have put Western music in my blog, but this is truly a showdown. They have taken every loophole to get as much fiber as possible, and that's really not what he had in mind. So we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, West Virginia just went for it.
Yeah, so West Virginia, remember, I complained. I was just like, I cannot believe that West Virginia, this was on the basis of comments that the governor made, that West Virginia was going to more or less abandon fiber. And something happened behind the scenes there, or I misread the comments, or so everyone.
I think the governor heard from everybody and said, no, I'm supporting the people, is what I think happened, because he was very behind the final submittal. So, yeah.
But the thing about West Virginia is one of the states that it makes sense for a fiber build more than any other state in the country because of their tree coverage. So it was interesting how which is
Frontier. It just sucks so much that Frontier's getting all this money to build fiber when Frontier has screwed West Virginia over so much.
Yeah, except the new Frontier with all new people in it is actually not a bad ISP. They're actually pretty darn good now. So
I actually think Frontier is making some really bold and smart moves right now in the marketplace. Yeah, I would agree with that, Doug.
Now there's some very interesting states though, because right next to West Virginia, you go down Appalachia, Tennessee gave satellite in the worst of the worst mountainous parts. It's like, what are you guys doing? And maybe nobody asked for the money. I mean, it's possible that nobody asked for it, so there's nothing they can do about that. But it's not going to work in the places they put it, man. So
how do you feel about your state, Doug? Because I know that
I told you on day one
in the past.
4 years ago, I said my state's going to lead the country in giving the money to the big companies, and sure enough, we gave almost all of it to the big companies. This state has always done that, and so that's just how. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion. So, Raleigh. By the way, that's North Carolina for everybody. Yes.
Yeah, Raleigh. Just the power of AT&T and Charter in North Carolina is brutal. Travis, this is where I wanted to come back. This is part 2 of 2 parts of our betting discussion for this show. You had said you thought 99% of the funds would go to the big companies. And I want you to ask Doug, because he wrote a blog post about it. I don't know if you read it, but he addressed that. So how much money do you think is going to the big companies, Travis?
What percent's going to the big companies, Doug?
Hey, thanks for asking that question, Travis.
Yeah.
Well, here in North Carolina, it's like 86%, but there's a couple states where it's 0. I mean, it's probably, we have to wait for Texas and California, but I'm going to guess it's probably 40 or 30% when we're all done. It's way smaller than we thought. I mean, it's pretty amazing how they've not given the money to the big companies.
How many
there's a whole lot of states at 5%. Yeah.
But how many went to the incumbent operator in the area then?
I don't think we know yet, but
we'd have to.
That money is in the none of the SpaceX or.
I mean, there was quite a bit of awards to electric co-ops and telephone co-ops. So some of those are the incumbents, but an awful lot of this is not them. So yeah, we'll see. As Kim said, there's not very much fixed wireless anywhere. Fixed wireless, boy. I mean,
right about that.
Those guys are gonna. those guys are going to go nuts at the lobbying level because they
called
thought that the big announcement of the change meant, a bonanza for them, and they have not done well at all. So,
but did a lot of them apply because of such a quick turnaround time?
One would have to think that the big 2 or 3 applied a lot, and they just didn't seem to get the awards. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen Nextlink, although we'll see in Texas, Nextlink could do fairly well.
I mean, they could still do really well in the states that are left. Yeah. So
I would like Rye to just mark so we can come back to this for my future book, The Art of Subtle Moderating, for how I handled that last segment.
Are you giving yourself like kudos and telling people to mark so you can come back and celebrate yourself?
Okay. But it's ironic kudos. So
he's angling for an Emmy. I mean, what can we say? So.
I'm just looking for the Nobel Prize nomination, and so if any one of you want to nominate me, I would appreciate that. I've stopped multiple.
But for what?
On the show, and I'm feeling pretty good.
What? Like what did you do so special you would get a Nobel Peace Prize?
I've stopped multiple wars on the show, and it would be embarrassing to go into depth on how I did that. So we're just gonna skim over it. But I do want to say, like, so Doug, you said AT&T is doing better than you expected. Charter's doing worse. Comcast, Comcast always seems to end up on top. They
always end up on top. Yeah,
frustratingly well managed for how they win these games.
I mean, a year ago, AT&T was still debating if they were going to participate at all. They were thinking of not doing a penny of it all, and they've done very well so far. And the states that are left, they're going to do well in Texas and California. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Travis, that's to be clear, AT&T is doing better than we expected, but still, like those big companies aren't getting the majority of the awards. I feel frustrated because we know that like Louisiana, West Virginia could have ended up with nearly everyone having fiber. But if you go back 3 years and you told us that like, 80% of Louisiana was going to get fiber and that 93% of West Virginia was going to get fiber, we would say, wow, that's amazing. That's better than we would have thought, right?
Well, Louisiana's only disappointed because between their first and second time, they lost 15% fiber, but they were going to give almost all of it to fiber.
Right.
But they kept most of it. Yeah. Yeah.
We've had the people on multiple shows from East Carroll Parish, and it's the area around there where people were going to get a fiber network built by an electric co-op, and they were going to be paying $60 to $70 per month for gigabit level service, or, I think it might be $80 a month for gigabit and 300 megabits a second for $60, something like that. It was a good deal. And now they're going to be probably not paying for Starlink, and the state's going to give money to Starlink. So they've been screwed. And I think that's awful. And they're going to, it just sucks. At the same time, most of the rural Louisiana is going to be treated okay. They're still, assuming that we don't see these 80% drop much further, it's kind of ending out better than we feared we might see.
Well, we just don't know. NTIA might still say 50% of satellite. We have no idea. Yeah.
But here's the question, right? I mean, like, we're seeing this, like, sort of CDC is literally falling apart day after day right now, right? And the federal agency. NTIA has a bunch of people that have been interfacing with state offices saying, yep, okay, yep, sort of like a soft rubber stamp, like, yep, this looks okay, like, go ahead. And now if Lutnick comes in and just overrules everyone, I think you might see morale fall through the floor there too. I don't know. I think it could be really interesting to see what happens.
Well, of course it will. I also think that if they come back and tell all the states to give it all to satellite, we'll see half the broadband directors just quit and walk out the door. I think they'll just go, screw that, I'm done.
I think what you're seeing in these awards, and I said this to someone yesterday, people think this is not political, but these awards and how they're differing state by state is very political of what we're seeing. So where does the politics come in from NTIA, and what is coming in from Lutnick? I think that's still the game changer. And I think celebrations need to be held off until we see the final awards coming in. Because I think who was the first one to submit? Was it Louisiana, on the second round?
I thought, but Louisiana was second.
Or somewhere in there.
Virginia,
that's going to be what's, I think, where they really, if the Virginia and Louisiana get finalized awards of as it stands now, I think we can start causing for celebration. But not until then.
So,
but a few states, when you say it's political, a few states bowed to the politics, and Nebraska is giving a large percent to satellite. They have good I mean, they have they don't need to give it to satellite. They have, they're not really hilly or mountainous or anything. I mean, they should be a place where fiber is doable. So
I don't know where those hearts just came from. There's just hearts popping up on my
I thought it was Travis who loves you, but I don't know.
Travis, go ahead.
I think Travis is playing with the buttons.
Hey, so Doug, serious question for you, because I think we should do a field trip. When will the first BEAD customer?
Oh boy, here we go.
Well,
Okay.
now this is an old bet, and it's not going to be this year, Travis. Not one this year.
We did earlier this year, Doug. You and I were bullish, and we thought that could be to this year.
Yeah. What month did we take? I took like September.
I took this year by the end of this year.
I definitely.
I said somebody.
Yeah,
we'll revisit that. Travis, I want to bring you back in. Did you see the Starlink coverage in Burning Man, the festival? I realize not everyone knows what Burning Man is, apparently. Although it's a big festival out in Nevada, and the Starlink speeds that were coming out of there. They started off pretty decent, and then as people arrived, it just fell off a cliff.
You can't put too many receivers in one little area. I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And if it can cover 500, you can't put in 3,000 receivers. It'll just kill it. Yeah.
I don't think there was 3,000 receivers though. So I mean, I'd be
there
curious.
Was probably a lot though. I mean, those folks all showed up with portable Starlink. The people can afford to go there. Those campers, they all had Starlink. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the age-old issue with wireless communications. We like to differentiate, and I keep saying this: cellular versus wireless versus Starlink. They're all the same fundamentally.
They're all the same. Yeah.
Now, the question that I have for you, Travis, is there's a couple of questions about relating to the low Earth orbit satellites. One is, I feel like if right now it's I don't know, like 60,000-70,000 locations are going to Starlink, and with the Western locations, maybe we'll see that doubling. I don't feel like Starlink has a problem picking up probably, I don't know, 30-40% of people subscribe in the short term if that's their only option. Probably less than that is what I'm seeing from Doug. I don't think Starlink has any problem picking up this number of new customers.
Plus, they have many years to do it. They don't have to pick them up right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the low Earth orbit conversation is basically over with the successful flight of Starship and the launch of the big version 3 the satellites. It's game's over. I'm actually surprised they're giving it to the Kuiper and any of these other guys.
Well, that's what I want to come. Well, let's do that first, and then I want to come back to what Starlink is doing. But
let's look at the bets. Ryan put up the bet statistics. I didn't know I said first quarter of 2026, so I might win this bet for once.
Okay.
So just saying, you guys, Doug and Chris were.
That was an internal chat. So Doug said September. I said October. Travis said 2029.
Winner.
You're going to win that. If Kim said
Kim's
next year,
good.
She's going to win.
I mean,
she's
going to
win.
Earlier.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Kim's looking good. So
she definitely wins.
So
I'm feeling good today. Feeling good. Go ahead.
I have concerns about Starlink, but they're serving 4 million people around the world. What has Kuiper done to justify getting this much money?
They put 100 satellites up. That's it. 102, I think.
Travis, do you have concerns? I mean, you just noted that you think Starlink has won, but do you have concerns about Kuiper's ability to perform, or do you think that they're just going to be up there sort of a second run?
Well, I just think they got issues. They don't have the spectrum. That's the key to this whole thing. I mean, Starlink owns a tremendous amount of spectrum. Yes. And they also don't have any lifting capability other than that little tourist thing they do up and down to send his wife up. And so, Starlink has got, they've got all the cards in the deck. So it's pretty much. Yeah.
On the other hand, Kuiper just has to wait till 2027, 2028, put $500 million into a presidential campaign, nationalize Starlink, and then just take over from there, take over all the spectrum. I feel like, you're missing out on the political dimension of how Bezos can win.
Wow, Chris is just really off on some tangent I've never heard before.
He's Woodrow Wilson. He deals in, yeah. Well, as far as low Earth orbit, I mean, there'll be other small players, but the game's kind of over now.
But here's the thing: the fees on Starlink are driving me crazy, and I'm curious to see what happens next. So we talked before about the waiting list. It sounds like there's no more waiting lists. Instead, they have like fees where, like, if you happen to live among people that use Starlink heavily, now you have to pay an extra $750 to get your initial startup. They have these congestion fees that are going up. I'm really concerned about whether or not this is something that will be. I mean, we talked about $120 being affordable. $120 a month might be a fantasy for what people will have to pay to have reasonable access on this. And so, Travis, I want to go to you first and see.
Well, I'm still convinced that it'll be less expensive than the traditional, Echostar dish / DirecTV / local ISP / local cellular, combination. I mean, you can see what's happening. I mean, Starlink will have T-Mobile as their cellular provider. They'll have the bandwidth, and if you consolidate all your bills, I bet even with some of these issues currently, with it'll still be less expensive per annum than you're paying today. I mean, it's expensive, and then let's also not forget that when you live out in the middle of nowhere, your property taxes are basically nothing. Chris is about to get whacked with another 14% increase next year, and so I think overall in your family budget, I don't think it's going to be that impactful. It's not going to be $30 a month, but it's certainly not going to be unavailable.
Mm-hmm. And he has a good point. I mean, the average national cellular bill is $92 per family. It's not at all small. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I think this.
How many people does that connect, though, Doug? Is that one or more?
That's an average of like 2.5. It's like $38 a person average.
Wow. Does anyone in the comments have a surprise? The people I talk to, like, I mean, my bill's lower because we're on the MVNO, but like I talk to people and they're like, $180 for 2 people, or like $130 minimum, but like 3-4 people up to $200 range.
Now that includes them financing 2 iPhones. You can't forget that's not their cellular bill. That's their hardware bill. So yes.
Okay. All right. Speaking of spectrum, and this is where I'm just so frustrated with like how this ended up. If you go back to T-Mobile buying Sprint, is this right? AT&T was going to buy Sprint. It got rejected. T-Mobile decided to buy Sprint. Like, we have laws in this country regarding antitrust and like consolidation of markets, and going from 4 providers to 3 is something that the laws are very concerned about, basically. And so judges that are reviewing these mergers are supposed to not allow this kind of consolidation. And so the federal government decided that it would play a little game and figure out how to create a 4th carrier through Dish. That was a total joke. And I've always referenced the Verge podcast. Nilay Patel, I think, has done great coverage of this over the years, and the fiction that the Federal Communications Commission under both parties have, the fiction that the Dish is a 4th carrier. That fiction is gone. They're selling their spectrum to AT&T. They're being carved up for parts. They'll continue to operate as a network that no one uses, fortunately. I feel like this was like so ridiculousness. And Doug, you probably pay closer attention to this than anyone else. Like, I'm so frustrated that like we were supposed to have competition in the mobile space. We don't. We're losing it. Prices are going up. Quality is going down, in my experience.
I mean, a 4th guy can't break in. It was a fantasy. The 3 carriers have the market. They have 97% of the U.S. market. How's a 4th guy going to ever break into that? It was always a fantasy that they were going to get any customers. So, they actually built a lot of network. They spent like $4 or $5 billion there. They actually have hardware that touches like 75 or 80% of all the people.
That's what they say.
But they didn't move anybody onto their towers. They've only got like 500,000 people on their own towers. They still have all the MVNO customers. So there was something actually fishy about that claim that they could cover people. So,
but this is my frustration. I mean, for people who are more technically inclined, say what you will about what you'd like to see in the Google remedy, like whether or not Google should have been forced to sell Chrome. The simple fact is we have laws, and when you establish a monopoly and you abuse that monopoly, there are supposed to be consequences. And here again, the judge decided, found that Google had a monopoly, had abused it, and then said, I'm not going to do anything about it. And so for
Yeah.
people who are aware, if you look back 100 years ago, we saw this regularly, and 50 years ago it was much less regular. IBM, AT&T, they were found to have to share their wealth, their the research that they had developed. They were forced by the government to contribute it back to a marketplace, and we had significant growth and benefits. And we are living right now in a time in which judges just bend over backwards to not require that, and we are not seeing the investment in the future. But I just want to, like, it's a little bit beyond our perspective in terms of just being telecom, but we are seeing that over and over again right now.
There's nothing that any judge could have done to stop Dish from being split up for the pieces, because it wasn't going to work. It was a non-functional company.
But no, my point is that this judge was foolish to have allowed AT&T, or to allow Sprint and T-Mobile to merge. That was the problem there. And
the original merger, yes. The winner was T-Mobile. They got away with murder on that merger. They didn't really cost them anything in social terms. Yeah. So
no, it's just, so I mean, that's where, just like, we were a rule of laws. We're a rule of laws. Yeah, great job, Chris. We're a country of laws, and we're just increasingly flouting them. And it's there for people to see the consequences that we pay.
I have a counter argument to you. I'm not sure Sprint would still be in business anyway. What's happened since that merger was the three companies have gotten cutthroat competitive with each other, and I don't think Sprint could have played in that game. So I think they would have folded anyway.
I think it's possible. It's also possible you would have seen someone else wanting to take them over. It is difficult to forecast, and so you're absolutely right about that. I will say that the work that had been done in recent years, we're sort of seeing these waves of like antitrust as well. So for people who track this, Figma, that merger with Adobe was declined. Adobe was not allowed to buy Figma. Figma has gone on to do an IPO and is worth far more to investors. The marketplace has benefited significantly from denying that merger. And when the FTC made that requirement, or the Europeans, I forget exactly how that one was stopped. It was not guaranteed that Figma could compete with a giant like Adobe. So there are remarkable things that happen in the messy marketplace. So that's my frustration, is that, though, regardless of that, there are policy fights we can have. There are laws, and nobody's changed the laws, and the judges just keep changing the rules as they go. We're seeing that across the board right now, and it's infuriating.
How do you feel about this, Chris? How do you feel about this? I just wanted to know. I just
deeply
can't.
concerned. Yeah.
and it's not just in telecom. I mean, the biggest merger of the past 10 years was Kraft and Heinz, and they're now splitting right back to the original two companies because it was actually worth more as standalone companies. So
But you see that all over the place, right? Like people try to merge, and then they're like, this doesn't work. It's like a breakup.
That didn't work. Yeah, that didn't work. Yeah.
I guess we can go to a close and go to the final item with this note, which I think is useful, because there's just a sense, I think, among people that, like, the people that are proposing the mergers, they know this stuff better. Like, they're more educated. They have degrees from Ivy League schools, and they know what they're doing. And they don't. They don't.
Oh.
They know how to get their fees, and they convince people to do stupid things. They get their fees.
Mergers
bring it back.
Mergers make fees for Wall Street firms. That's the only reason we have mergers.
I think we need to ask this question, Doug, though. How many days of college did you go to, Travis? We just need to clarify this for, the fancy people who've just been acquired.
There has been a lot of misunderstanding here. I want to make it very clear now to everybody that it was 9 days in a row. So
wow, you didn't. So you even went. You even went on Sunday. You went on Sunday.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it was a business school days. Yes, 9 school days in a row. Actually, I should change my statement. Yes.
Okay. I have a demand, which is that if we are going to go to do view a rocket launch, while we are waiting, we are going to do live commentary of movies like Back to School that fit this perfectly. And I feel like that would be something that people would pay for, even us, to violate copyrights and stream that. So
wasn't there something like that on public access TV back in the day, Chris, where
Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Mystery Science Theater. Yeah, we could do that kind of version, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I think we should.
But I want to challenge you on one thing, though, Chris, because I was actually thinking about it the other day. cell phones are, I don't know. Do you think it's getting worse? I think my coverage is good or better than it has ever been.
No, well, I mean, here again, we have the issue because I have an MVNO. My coverage is getting worse, I think, because Verizon is squeezing the
Oh,
MVNOs, the virtual
okay.
operators. That said, when I talk to other people and when I engage in like phone calls, the amount of dropped calls, it's not getting better. It might not be getting worse, but like I am not seeing improved experience.
But in fairness to the three people in our audience, Chris runs a Windows phone, and I'm not sure that maybe that could be part of the problem. Yeah, the hardware.
You know,
Yeah.
it was well designed in 2009, and I'm sticking with it, Travis.
Exactly. Because I think he's one of our few green texting friends left, right?
The last story is the copyright war on ISPs, and we've covered this before. The big copyright folks who are usually the bad guys in my experience, they are suing, and they've been challenging ISPs and trying to require ISPs to take people offline, which is to say that like if I was to own copyright for music, which would be hilarious because of if you think my voice is grating now, imagine me singing, right? But if I had this amazing song and then I decided that Travis had pirated it, and even if I didn't have any evidence, I could go to his ISP and demand that he is not allowed to use the internet anymore. They would terminate his account because I would file a claim that he had violated copyright. There's no due process, no court case, just Travis loses it. Now, if Travis is running a school, the school loses it, right? Like, and this is the way the copyright companies want to do it. This is a case that's going to be in front of the Supreme Court. The Trump administration is on the right side here. They are pushing with the big ISPs who are all united on this, that this is a horrific way to deal with copyright theft. But anyway, we did see this case in which the Ninth Circuit basically said that that's not how the law works and shot this down.
Well, remember in the earlier Cox case, there was a court that ruled against Cox and one that ruled for them. So I mean, there's courts who believe that this is idiotic. So the copyright guys are bad guys. They created a whole industry of folks. They get paid by a percentage of the money they recover. Any industry that does that always turns into crooks. So that's a very bad way to make money. So they may not have started out as bad guys, but they turned into them. So
yeah. Travis,
I'd like you to tell me again what side is the administration on? Am I good here?
If you
go, I want to make sure I hear this.
If you go back and look at past shows, you'll find that I am perfectly fair, and I will praise Ajit Pai when he deserves it and not when he doesn't, unlike you, who only wants to praise him when you can get a rise out of me. That is your sole motivation for how you decide who to praise.
Am I that transparent, Mr. Mitchell? Yes. I will take the position of Chris
out of work, and he's already losing his hearing. He's losing his hearing. This is scary. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just concerned that Chris is like, I'm fair and equal. I mean, you have no preference. Okay, I'm just asking, just making sure. Okay,
I hate them all. I just hate them all to varying degrees.
Oh, Mr. Mitchell, you cracked me up. I love it.
Travis, let's wrap with a little discussion about your future. Did you say you were going to take a vacation?
My first vacation next week. I'm going to Texas for a week to. We're going.
I'll be in Texas next week, Travis, too.
Where are you going to be?
I'll be in Dallas.
Guess who I'm having dinner with, fellas? It's Kim McKinley.
Let's just, you guys, after the show, you should talk a little bit because saying you're in Dallas is like saying you're both in Rhode Island. You might not be that close to each other.
To hang out with Kim, I'll drive hours. So let's just be clear.
I know, me too, Travis. I'll drive hours. Yeah. Basically to see your wife, not to see you, but I mean,
No, so actually a proper vacation where I don't have to check email every 5 minutes and check all the everything. It's going to be much. I haven't had one of these in about 30 years. I'm looking forward to it.
And then
is your old email still good, or do you have a new one?
I have a new one I'll be migrating to over the next year here, so I'll send it over.
Yeah,
to you.
make sure we know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis, are you going to retire from the show, or can we get a public commitment that as your knowledge grows stale and useless, you'll stick around with us?
Well,
He still has another network. He still has another network.
Yes. No. I'd be honored to hang out with the three of you. Yes.
Well, I don't have anything I can get anymore from you, so I don't know. I'll have to...
Ooh.
Well, you know, it's all good, Mr. Mitchell. I've been fired from Connect This. Wah, wah.
I don't even think you could say fired. You've been like unvolunteered. Like
Unvolunteered. Yes.
I feel like there's gonna be.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten our sweatshirts. Do we get a sweatshirt before he retires?
He's a founder.
Yes. At some point, there's going to be a dissertation from a psychology, like a PhD in the future, on how Chris convinced these people to come on his show and be abused every other week while sharing the knowledge that they've accumulated for no pay whatsoever.
I love it.
I don't know what that says about us is the problem right there.
Well, we could all three go on strike and not show up one Friday. What do you think?
Yeah, but what would Juan and Ruben and all of our friendlies do without us here on a Friday?
True. That's why we're here. Yes. So
hang on. We could form Connect That. And we can do our
Well, I think,
but we don't have a rye. We don't have a rye. That's our biggest problem.
Don't worry.
Rye has. If Rye has any sense, he would jump ship the first chance you asked him.
I
don't think other people hear that, but for those of us in studio, Rye said he could be bought.
Remember, we're all coin operated, Mr. Mitchell. So
I am curious for people who are in the chat still. If you just want to throw in, like, how was this for you? Was the picture quality decent? Audio? Anything that was worse than you've seen before? Before we wrap, I am curious about this platform. We have not yet given up on the other platform, and we prefer not to pay for two platforms because we're using this for some other things. But we do want to make sure that we are able to do high quality. Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. We want to try and make sure that we're not diminishing the quality of our guests' presentation with the technology that we use. So
yeah, but you have to say, like, it's not the content. We know the content sucks, but everything else.
Yeah, please don't comment on the content. We can't take it. But if other things, so I mean, for instance, like everyone's coming through blurry for me. Like no one has a high quality video, and I'm curious how that's been received on YouTube, if it's better. So you're all seeing that too? Okay.
I think you're all blurry to me. Yeah. Okay.
You're clear, Chris, for me. Travis is blurry and Doug is sometimes blurry.
Okay.
Yep. And I have the opposite. Tim's been blurry the whole time. Chris is crystal clear.
That's not what you want.
Yeah.
No. It's the wrong angle. And then Doug has gone in and out for me.
All right. Well, thank you.
Well, Juan said not a noticeable difference, which is good. So, all right. Can I ask the question everyone's begging to know? Did your free trial of StreamYard run out or what?
No, I mean, it's to be honest. So the thing is that this platform, I don't like it as much, but it is so much better at enabling Jordan particularly to be able to do clips to put up on social media. It is a far superior approach for that. So I prefer the way StreamYard operates, but this allows us to do more promotion, and I'm hoping that will result in more people being able to listen to your words of wisdom.
But here's the thing: you don't have this on StreamYard. All the hearts.
Right.
Look at that.
Yeah.
How do you do the hearts?
There's
go down to react at the bottom and you can just click away. Look at that. Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Come on, Doug. We got to get in on this. Look at Mr. Mitchell.
Okay, you shouldn't have told us that. Like, that's just terrible.
All right. Well, thank you all. We made it through the summer. If I'm to be believed, we might not be here in 3 weeks. Who knows? But I think we'll. I need to look at the calendar and figure out when I'm traveling. I think I might be in San Antonio in 2 weeks. So I'm going to the wrong part of Texas to hang out with the cool people. But we'll be back sometime soon with more news. And I don't know, maybe we'll just do it from my backyard with a handheld camcorder. We'll see. This has been another fun episode of Connect This.